Hey y'all, welcome to this Friday's live Q&A. I'm not sure if you realize I was not in last Friday's Q&A because we had an episode premiere for Meeting of the Minds. It's a new series that I've started on my YouTube channel where I interview people um, who are doing things out here in the community to help really change the world. And I really wanted to bring on coaches, content creators, authors, motivational speakers, and just people who are out here really trying to use what they've been through, what they've experienced in their life, and kind of turning lemons into lemonade, and really helping people the way that I'm doing also. I really believe that, when you've had some difficult things happen, that it's your duty to use that to help people who are where you were and show them the way to get out of that and to move forward in life. And so that's pretty much my mission here. And I want to not only bring other people on who are doing the same thing, but really talk to them about, if, let's say, you as the viewer are someone who wants to do that as well, what can you see as that like for us and how we've come this far and what kind of hurdles we've had to go through so that you don't feel discouraged when you too are having some challenges. So I've been working really hard over the past few months on getting my message across very well to those of you who feel like no matter what you do, you don't seem to be able to rise past a certain level or a certain ceiling in your life, in your relationships, in your health, your business, or in your internal world. And I want to be able to teach you and give you little nuggets of things that helped for me and helped for many of my different clients, depending on their particular situation, to get out of really difficult times, but not in a way that is the kind that you're escaping, but in a way that is the kind where you're using your tragedy or using your obstacle to grow from and become the person that you are destined to become. And today I want to talk about self abandonment versus self trust. And I've considered making kind of like a series of abandonment because what I've noticed with my clients and my students is that a lot of times people who have a difficult time moving forward or accomplishing higher level goals have internalized some kind of abandonment that they don't even know is how their psyche is seeing it from, like, probably childhood, but it can happen later in life as well. And so what happens is you start to almost create this sabotaging subconscious behavior where you're like abandoning yourself and you don't even know what you're doing that because in your mind, in your eyes, you're showing up for yourself. You want this thing so bad, you keep going for it, but for some reason it's just kind of stays out of reach. You've done the self-help work, you've done the manifestation work, you've learned about energy, and you don't understand why things are only progressing to a certain level and you can't seem to expand past that certain point. And I'd really like to, there can be a lot of reasons, and they're all very simple reasons. We don't have to overcomplicate these kind of things. But one of those things is the self-abandonment slash self-trust that I work with a lot of clients on. They come to me in my practice and they don't understand why this is happening to them, or why, if they have the desire to change and if they want to move forward and if they're doing all the right things, why is it not working for them? And this is really affecting people like on a huge level. Especially when you come on things like Facebook or YouTube or Instagram and you see other people who maybe were where you were and they have been able to surpass the point that you're at, and you don't understand why it was working for them but it's not working for you. Like, why am I watching so many people who are telling me, oh, I was here and now look where I am? And you're like, yeah, great, but why, when I do what you said you did, why am I still here? Why do I feel stuck? under this certain kind of cap or ceiling, and I just can't get above it. And so, like I said, today I want to talk about one of the reasons that could be happening for you. If this particular reason lands for you, great. Let me know in the comments. If it doesn't, stay tuned because there are more coming in the future. So, the first one that I wanted to go over this week is self-abandonment. And self-abandonment can show up in the things that you say that you're going to do and you just don't do. Maybe you procrastinate. Maybe you feel like it's too hard. Maybe you feel like it's just not for you. Like, why would I do that? Like, no, I'm not going to do that. Let's take, for example, a great example of self-abandonment would be like, okay, I'm going to improve my life. I'm going to take this class and I'm going to do everything that the coach says to do. And so you start taking the class or the seminar or the boot camp or the program, and you get in and things get difficult. And so you had already promised yourself that you were going to do something a certain way. And then when it gets hard, you start to backpedal a little bit. And you're like, well, I didn't, this isn't working for me, or this isn't what I signed up for. You don't stick in there and show your subconscious mind that no matter what, I'm going to stick with this, even if it's hard, even if I don't understand it. Because, hey, let's be honest, the whole point of getting a coach or the whole point of taking a class is to do something you've never done before in a way you've never done it. Otherwise, you wouldn't need to take the class. So, when a coach or a teacher or someone tells you to do something different than you feel comfortable doing, and you say, oh, well, that's just not for me, or I'm not going to do that, or that's too hard, or they're crazy, then you're sabotaging yourself and you're breaking that trust bond with yourself. And, I really want to approach this in a non-therapy kind of way. I want to approach this in a way that's more like connected with the person who's going through this, because I've gone through it. And it's kind of difficult to do that because it wasn't until I started learning the techniques that I use that I was able to see that it was a self-abandonment issue, that I did not have trust for myself. I started a program once and I was like, okay, I'm going to do this every morning. I'm going to make my bed every single morning, and I'm going to develop self-trust this way. And for about 30 days, I made my bed every single morning. I was so proud of myself that after the 30 days, I moved on to the next step. I'm going to hang up because I do a lot of laundry and it's all over the place, folded and stacked in piles, because after I fold it, I don't put it away. I'm very, very busy, and that's my excuse. So part of this was you're going to hang 3 pieces of clothing every single day. And I did that for like 3 days. And then boom, something challenging hit in my life outside of the self-trust thing that I was doing. Just something challenging took my attention. And because I'm an empath, raise your hand if you're an empath. Because I'm an empath, the emotions that I had to source from everything else that I was doing went into this challenge. And so the bed stopped getting made and the clothes stopped getting hung up. And I felt, after about 2 or 3 days, I felt like, wow, like I just really let myself down there. I was supposed to be holding this standard for myself to show myself, hey, you can trust me. I said I was going to do it and I'm going to do it. But if I can't do it for me, how can I do it for my business? Or how can I do it for other people? How can I do it for my child? So, in the past, and most people that I work with would say, well, I fucked up, like obviously I'm not a consistent person, or obviously I'm just, just like this. So I'm just not going to try that anymore. No, that's the wrong thing to do. The thing that you want to do in this particular situation is start again, get right back on the horse and start riding again. Because if you stop, then you are proving to yourself that you aren't capable of holding yourself to a higher standard. And nobody ever expects perfection out of you. Should never expect perfection out of yourself. 80% at best. There's the 80-20 rule, right? You get 20% of the opportunity to make mistakes, to be human. You can't always expect yourself to be perfect. And if you are expecting yourself to be perfect, then that is part of the self-sabotage that is keeping you stuck. But if you want to propel yourself forward, allow for mistakes, allow for incongruencies, allow for humanity. right? So then but the other part of it, the 80% should be planned out. It should not leave any room for guessing. Like, okay, this is what I'm going to do. This is what I have to do to achieve my goal. Stick to it and allow for 20% of mess up. I'll often ask myself during the day, am I doing 80% today? Am I showing up for 80% of my day today, of my goals today? Right? And if you find that you're not, you need to reevaluate. So again, just don't focus on being perfect, because the more you focus on being perfect, the easier it's going to be to give up, because nobody's perfect and it's just not going to work long term. So give yourself something that's workable, that's doable, that's acceptable as a human being, and allow yourself to make mistakes. So what we're talking about is self-trust and building self-trust, and how to do that without allowing mistakes to make you feel like you've just failed and you should just give up. That's not true. That's a lie. That's an illusion. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a plan. This is part of the 80%, and we're going to allow for fuck ups, shit that happens. Not kind of as a way of making excuses like, well, hey, I'm allowed to mess up. Really showing up for ourselves. I mean, 80% is a lot, but not everything always goes perfect all the time. So you have to leave room for that and let that be okay. A good model for this, and I may be skipping around because new ideas are coming in, but a good model for this is I decided, okay, it appears as if I'm awake 16 hours a day. So if I'm awake 16 hours a day, then I have to promise to dedicate 80% of that time to focused attention, going after what I want, creating a plan and moving towards it. 20% of my day, I'm allowed to do other things other than chasing my goals. So I can read a book if it's not related to my business, even though I don't read books that aren't related to my business, but that's my choice. Or I can watch TV, even though I don't watch TV unless it's related to my business. But again, that's my choice. If my choice was to watch a sitcom, it would be done in those 20 minutes, right? Or if I wanted to go out with my friends and I say, okay, 80% of the week I have focused on my business and my goals. 20% of the week I can spend food shopping or hanging out with my son or going out with my friends. So this is what I mean about creating a structure that works for you, that makes you successful. If you're looking at someone else and you're creating their structure in your life and you keep falling short, then that's not the right structure for you. Use their structure as a template or as a model for you to build your structure, but build it for you. Understand that there is not one more person in this world other than you that's like you. So find that special thing about yourself and learn how to cultivate that and use it in your life to push yourself forward. Okay. So, self trust can be built by creating these systems, by creating something that says, I'm going to do this small thing today. And when I do this small thing today, I'm going to make it a part of my life forever. Or I agree to do this every day for 30 days. Or I agree to do this once a week for 6 months and see where I'm at, reassess, right? And so when you're setting these little tiny mini goals for yourself, every time you achieve them or every time you do something that's in alignment with them, it is putting a vote in the ballot box of that character, of that identity, of that person that you are becoming. And it doesn't have to be 100 votes. It could just be 80%, just the majority. So continuing to really develop in who you want to be, and then all the acts that you do, all the habits that you create, you question yourself and say, is this in alignment with the person that I want to become? Is this in alignment with the goal that I want to achieve? Is this in alignment with XYZ? Okay. And if not, go back and adjust. Make sure that whatever's in that 80% of your day or 80% of that week or 80% of that month is in alignment with the identity that you want to create or the goal that you want to have. Okay, and the point I'm getting to here is that builds self-trust. So the example I gave earlier is that I set a goal for myself to really tidy up my room. It's kind of like when my mind goes into panic, when I start to get really out of sorts, you'll be able to see that by my bedroom. Like it's like nothing's in its place, and I'm a very ordered, organized person. So when you see that, you can understand that inside of myself is very disordered. Right. So in order to be able to fix that, I have to fix the manifestation on the outside and create self-trust on the inside. So creating a small doable plan that will help me work through that challenge and also prove to myself that, hey, whatever you say that you're going to do, you do. And I appreciate you for that. It starts to create not only self-trust, but self-reliance, and I know that whatever I say I'm going to do, I do. And that starts to show up in my personality. It starts to show up in my work. It starts to show up in my other relationships. Okay. So as usual, we are here today for a live Q&A. I've seen a lot of you coming in and out of the Q&A. If you have any questions, or if you're watching the replay on YouTube or on Facebook, don't be scared to leave a comment. Let us know what your question is, or what you'd like help with, or what you'd like to understand a little bit more. I just finished a fantastic training. Maybe some of you saw a little bit of that on my timeline. I went to a speaking conference learning how to speak and tell stories. And it's interesting because I feel like there's always this transition period when you're learning something new, where you're doing something a certain way and it works for you. And then you're like, oh, I want to get better at it. So you go and you learn a new technique. And when you come back and you try that out, it's like, oh gosh, I should have just stuck with the way it was before. But no, it's just the awkward stage. And I'm sure that's translating on camera. And, I also have something to tell you. And so I get it. But you're going to start to see the journey, right? You're going to start to see the way transformation looks. I was talking to one of my students the other day about the journey from where they are to where they want to go, and whether it's healing or accomplishing a goal or changing your identity or any of the things that you aspire to do, from where you are to where you're going is not a straight line. Like I even still have the imprint of it here, but it's never a straight line from where you want to go, from where you are to where you want to go. Healing, identity shifting, goal reaching is always a line kind of like this even. And it takes off with all this momentum. I mean, in the beginning, you're like ready to go. You're so excited. Like, I'm starting this new thing. I'm going to be like consuming all this information and going really hard at it and like really doing my thing out here because I have all this momentum and all this passion for it. But then you hit your first challenge. And once you hit that first challenge, it almost feels as if it is like no big deal. You see how it's kind of like a little dip, it's like no big deal, I can get through this. And you even like shoot up a little, maybe you get some additional momentum, you drop down a little again, but you shoot back up and you're like, I got this, I got my second win, everything's going really well, I still want this thing. But pretty soon, what life does is it throws you a freaking curveball. It throws the kitchen sink at you and you're like, whoa, what happened? I don't understand. I thought this was meant for me. I thought I've worked really hard for it. I thought I put so much education and so much action and so much hard work behind it, and it's still not working. I don't understand. How could I end up at this place? And you almost get lost in this area. You see this here? You almost get lost in this area of it's not working. I'm not good enough. I knew I wasn't cut out for this. And if you get stuck here, you could end up being one of the people who quit. Matter of fact, most people do quit here. This is why a lot of people don't accomplish their goals, because it gets, they anticipate that not everything's going to go great. So when it dips down a little, they're like, okay, well, I expected that. But they can skyrocket from there. And the higher you go, the farther the fall. So just to go back to even where they were there feels like a huge crash. And most people, when they get to this place, they feel like, oh my gosh, I suck. I'm awful. I should have never started this. I should have, I was not even prepared, or maybe it's just not meant for me, or why did everybody else get to go through, get to enjoy this and I don't? And they get stuck in this negative loop here. And that's where we see them quit. And this is actually referred to by um can't remember his name right now. Stephen Covey, I think is his name, Stephen Covey. He calls it the dip. And it's a real thing that people who are going after huge goals experience. If you don't get through the dip, you're going to quit. But if you stay long enough, you're gonna experience another high. And look at where it is compared to the last one. So it feels like you did all this stuff, but down here you were becoming. It was shaping you to be prepared for the person that you had to become in order to have this victory. And once you have this victory, this will shape you. This dip right here, will shape you for who you are going to become when you reach your goal. Every dip is an opportunity to either quit or to keep going and become the person that you are destined to become. So you have to be very careful when you end up in here, because everybody ends up in there. I don't care, all these people I hear about say there's nothing wrong with my life, I have a great life, everything's always great. That's malarkey. That would mean you're not human and you don't live on this planet. Why don't you just go to heaven? I didn't mean it like that. I'm just saying, like, if you have no problems, you wouldn't be incarnated right now. These are challenges. Challenges create growth. If you refuse to see your challenges, that's another story. If you refuse, when the challenge comes to you and you push it away, and everybody knows, like, don't bother this person, they don't like to be challenged, they don't like to be told what to do, they don't like a mirror held in front of them. Whenever something negative goes, they either throw money at it, or they ignore it, or they just let it pass them by, and they don't overcome it, they never grow from it, they never use it. Well, then maybe that person is right. They never experience any challenges and their life is great. But I will bet you that there is something going on underneath that is not great, something going on in their life that is out of whack, something that they wish could be better, but it's just easier to pretend like it's not there, and therefore it will never get better. And if they're okay with that, they're okay with that. And trust me, I've been in the situation plenty of times where I'm like, yeah, it's just easier to like go back into the old way and not try to climb up to this new level in my spirit and my personality and my person. And it really just held me back in life for so many years. If that is something that you're comfortable with, we call this living in your uncomfortable comfort zone, then go for it. But if you feel like there's something more out there for you and you feel that in your bones and you want it so bad, but every time you reach for it, you're confronted with something incredibly uncomfortable and you're like, yeah, no, I'm good, then that is an opportunity. That is an opportunity for you to see what's holding you back from your next level. And that's what we do in my programs. We help you get through that part, that point. We help you get through the dip. We help you get through the time where people quit. We help you get through the time where you are being confronted by things that are uncomfortable and you want to experience something different in your life once and for all. So I said earlier, I have something to tell you. I am releasing tomorrow my next interview with my next guest from Meeting with the Minds. Meeting of the Minds. I keep saying that. I even said it in the video, which is awful because I can't go back and change that. But I'm really excited about this guest as well as my last one and as the one that's coming after. I have some really, really great guests on my lineup, and I'm so excited for y'all to see the next one and to just be a part of this journey with me. If you come by and you watch the video, don't forget to give your girl a like. Make sure that you say hi in the comments. Let us know you're there and that you're supporting us and that you want to be a part of this movement of really being the change that we want to see in the world. Okay, I will see y'all on the next one. It doesn't look like anybody's here right now for questions. So again, if you do have questions, don't forget to leave it in the replay and I'll get back to you and to them with a specific tag on you so you can see that I answered the question for you. Okay, y'all, I'll see you on the next one. Bye.